computing community in the College of Computing. I'd like to welcome you to Healthy Cooking during COVID-19. Tough times in the coronavirus has forced us all to think outside the box, but we're also discovering that it's not totally a bad thing. This creativity, like healthy cooking during COVID-19, is definitely an example of that. Take this new creativity and acquired skills and know that you're equipped with new skills you weren't equipped with before. I'd like to take this time to introduce and thank in advance Ms. Amber Johnson and Leah Roper from Health Initiatives Department on campus. Thank you in advance for agreeing to partner with us and know that we're excited. I'd like to step aside to let Leah and Amber do their thing. I'll stop talking, so without much further delay, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. This is Leah Roper, one of the dietitians in Health Initiatives. And I'm going to be walking you through a few different healthy recipes today. And Amber's on here as well. She'll be interjecting and asking questions as we move along.
Yes, so we hope you all enjoy the recipes.
The first recipe we're going to go through is some no-bake cookies. So I'm going to put that together and we talk about each of the ingredients as we put those in. It's a really simple recipe, not a lot of ingredients, and something that you can easily make at home, and a lot of ingredients that you might just have on hand. So for the first ingredient that goes in here, I'm going to add everything into this bowl here, is a cup of old-fashioned or rolled oats. We'll add that in. Those are a good, kind of like the glue of our cookies, but also a whole grain. So they're going to add some extra protein and fiber and give you a little bit more energy from your cookies. The next thing I'm adding is, this is some peanut butter. But you could use any nut butter in here. You could use almond butter, lots of different varieties out there and available today. And that's a half a cup of nut butter. This fun tool is actually really easy for adding nut butter if you happen to have one. Just makes it easier to measure things out. And then the next thing we'll add is a quarter cup of maple syrup. I'll just dump that in there. That adds some sweetness. It'll help everything stay together nicely. The peanut butter is also going to add some healthy fats, some extra protein, be a little bit more filling as well. And then the final thing we'll add, I know the recipe that we published calls for raisins, but this one that I'm going to make today has a little bit of chocolate and some golden raisins. It's about a half cup of those two combined. You could use all chocolate, you could use all raisins, you could use another dried fruit like dried cranberries or dried blueberries, cherries, whatever you happen to have on hand. Any of those would work. And then the next thing I'm going to do is mix all of these ingredients together. They are fairly sticky. I'm going to use a spatula to do that.
So Leah, while you're stirring, are old-fashioned oats the only oats we could use? Would using instant oats make a difference?
The instant oats you could probably use them. The cookie would have a little bit different consistency. I'm not sure they would hold up the same. I haven't tried it out with instant oats, but worth experimenting with, because your instant oats are actually just your whole rolled oats chopped up, so they cook a little bit faster. So I could see them potentially working, but I haven't tested it out.
Okay.
Leah, I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
Is it normal that I'm getting hungry while I'm sitting here just watching this?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I know whenever I'm talking about food or thinking about food, planning recipes. I tend to get a little bit hungry too. It's also right around lunchtime, so that could be it.
Okay.
So we've got our cookie dough all mixed up together here. Just do one more mix. Make sure everything's distributed well. And then the next thing we do, the no bake part, I have a plastic bag that I've probably recycled a couple times now. So you're going to take the dough that you've put together, and this is what it looks like all combined, and roll them into about a tablespoon size piece. So this will get your hands a little bit messy. I'd say about that size would work. And then you'll just place them into the plastic bag. I think this recipe makes about a dozen. You could double it easily, make a few more. They stay in the freezer, the refrigerator very well, so you could keep them for probably a couple weeks in the freezer, even a couple months. Once you freeze stuff, it stays good for quite a while. In the fridge, I'd probably...
Last that long?
What?
Would they last that long though? I'm thinking at our house those would be gone in a day.
They could last that long. They may not.
They wouldn't make it a day in my house.
I know I made these before, and I think I made 2 batches, and my husband ate them all in like a couple days, so I hear you on that. But this is the messy part. My hands are getting a little sticky, but I'm gonna press on and wash my hands when I'm done. Another important thing to think about as we're doing more cooking, making sure we're washing our hands, especially during this COVID-19 time in our lives that we're living through.
Great
And I
advice.
decided
Reminder.
to go with making this recipe first, because then it might be done by the time we get through our other recipes that we have planned for today. Because once we get these all into the plastic bag, and pop them in the freezer for about, you can leave them in there as long as they'll stay good in the freezer, but in about 20 minutes they'll hold together well and you can eat them like a cookie. Or even some people might call them like energy bites or things like that. You might see them with different names, but they have a sweetness and you can definitely classify them as a cookie, in my opinion.
Would you change the recipe or the freezing time if you wanted to turn it into like a bar? Or is that not advisable for the recipe?
You probably could. I would freeze them a little bit longer because it would probably take them a little bit longer to set in like a bigger amount all together. So I feel like the smaller sizes, the frozen temperature gets around them and surrounds them more quickly than if it was in like a big bar.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got about almost done over here.
Leah, I've got a question. Typically, when you're in your kitchen cooking, do you have a certain music you listen to? You got a certain dance you do?
I do listen to music sometimes, but I also get very, I would say I'm like pretty methodical in my like cooking. I kind of like get caught up in what I'm doing, and sometimes I don't even realize that like I'm not listening to music or the TV's not on because I'm very into what I'm making or excited about it. So I do like to dance and cook sometimes. I feel like baking is definitely good for that. You
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
Agree.
cook in a way that's enjoyable to you, since we seem to all be doing it a little bit more often last
Yes.
6 weeks. So this made a baker's dozen cookies. Got 13 over here.
Is that the one you just eat before freezing it?
I don't know. I feel like somehow, I don't know the exact process of it, but I feel like the freezing helps the like uncooked oats be a little bit more palatable for some reason.
Huh.
That seems strange, maybe. I don't know.
I think we can go with it.
Okay. So they're all made up and put together. My hands are covered in nut butter. That's okay. Gonna rinse them off really quick.
Amber, I bet the people in our home are waiting for this demonstration to be over so they can.
I'm sure just off camera right now. Fingers creeping in.
Like, when will this demonstration be over so we can have at them?
So I'm gonna toss these in the freezer real quick. Right behind me. And we'll check on them in about 20 minutes.
Right.
Okay, so that was recipe 1. I'll do my cleanup later, even though it might be out to wait, but I'll do it. We'll move over to our next recipe station. And this one is
Oats.
going to be
Exactly.
overnight oats.
Awesome.
We're showing the versatility of oats today. Whole rolled oats. You can use all different kinds of ways. And this recipe won't be quite done when we're wrapping up our session today, but I'm going to show you all the things that you could try to add on top. So the first thing we'll add here is half cup of oats. And I have like a little Pyrex container that's glass that I'm putting this in, but you can really use any Tupperware container, glass, mason jar, any of those things. Then after the oats, I'm going to add some chia seeds. So a tablespoon of chia seeds. I like in particular the texture that the chia seeds give to overnight oats. They make it a little bit more, because the chia seeds absorb some more liquid, so it gives it, I want to say like a gelatinous like texture, which maybe doesn't sound appealing to everybody, but I prefer it, so that's what we'll say.
Can you use flax seeds as well?
You could use flaxseed, but it doesn't absorb the liquid the same way that chia seeds do. If you use flax, I would use ground flax instead of whole flaxseed.
Mm-hmm. Would you need to change the amount of liquid that you're adding? Or would that still stay the same?
I'd probably still add about the same amount of liquid.
Okay.
Or go down to about half a cup, because we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of milk. I'm using oat milk today, but you could use dairy milk, almond milk, rice milk, whatever beverage.
All of the milks.
I have oat milk at home today, so that's what we're using. Another way to show our versatility of oats, you can make it into milk. We'll add that. And then the last thing we're going to add right now before this goes in the refrigerator is some yogurt. This is just a plain Greek yogurt. I like to add Greek yogurt because it adds a little bit more protein, which is going to be more filling. But you could add a different flavor of yogurt. This also is, your Greek yogurt's a little bit thicker than your regular yogurt, so that's going to change the consistency some too. So if you use just like a regular yogurt, it would be a little bit thinner. Just gonna mix it all together in here. It fits very well in this container. And this is a good just general base for overnight oats. If you wanted to add any seasonings to it, like cocoa powder or cinnamon or anything like that, you could just add that to it to add a little bit of extra flavor, or to change it up a little bit if you get bored with just the basic flavor.
Are there any ingredients you should add like in the morning as opposed to at night, or is it anything goes?
So you could add, the other ingredients I have here are some nuts, a quarter cup of nuts. I have some almonds, and then about a half a cup. These are actually frozen berries, but a half a cup of any type of fruit would work. But these I like to add in the morning. You could add them now and mix everything in together, but I like add them the next day or whenever, and just let this part of the oatmeal set on its own. So I'm going to give this, cover it up, and pop it in the refrigerator. And then I would put these on the next day to add some sweetness and some extra fiber. And then your nuts are going to add a little bit more protein as well as some healthy fats. But you could use any type of nuts. If you prefer walnuts, or if you don't like berries and you want to add banana or apples or any type of fruit, or just like one type of berry, any of those could work. I do like to add the frozen berries because as they defrost, they'll release some of the juices from them, and you can mix that throughout your oats and get that sweetness.
It looks like it would give it a pretty color too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pop this into the refrigerator, and that will be ready to go and eat for breakfast tomorrow. Really overnight, so in about 7 or 8 hours. So I could eat it later today. I was feeling up for it. Having breakfast for dinner, have it for a snack later too. Any of those could work.
Oh, yeah. Is there a point in time where they would be sitting too long? Like, is there a better window to get them in?
So I would say because you could batch make this too and make it in a larger volume, but I would make it for a week at a time.
Okay.
Longer than a week.
Okay.
All right.
I've tried that out before, and it does, because the oats can start to I don't know, they don't like deteriorate, but they've been like soaking for a really long time, so they lose a little bit of their
disintegrate, kind of.
So, moving on to recipe number 3. I actually turn the heat source on for this one.
Leah, if you don't mind me saying, I love your kitchen.
Oh, thank you. This is a newer kitchen to me. We've only been here for about a month now, so finding my way around. So the next thing we're going to make is green grilled cheese. I actually came up with this recipe for around St. Patrick's Day, being sort of festive. And you could make it any time of the year. And you could also switch up the vegetables. We're going to use some spinach today. But you could use mushrooms or tomato. Any of those would work as well. So what I'm going to start by, I've got 2 pieces of bread over here. And I'm going to put some pesto on each slice of bread. The recipe calls for about a tablespoon, and then to split that, amongst the 2 pieces of bread that you have.
What are the better types of bread to use for a grilled cheese?
So today I'm using a multi-grain bread because that's what we have at home. I think the last time I made this, when I made it for our website, I actually used just whole grain bread. I want to say it was like a sprouted whole grain. So the pieces of that bread were actually a little bit smaller. You could really use any type of bread that you prefer. I feel like a sourdough would be really good for grilled cheese, or trying to think of even like a Texas toast style bread too. That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure my slices of bread match.
I do the same thing.
We all do.
And then the recipe also calls for 1 slice of cheese and splitting it between either half, but these are bigger slices of bread than the last time I did this, so I'm actually going to use. And then you can kind of gauge that based on, like, I think the last time the pieces were small, so 1 piece really was enough to cover, get you cheesiness all throughout your sandwich, which is the goal. I'm turning on my stovetop here, medium heat. And the next thing I'm going to do, the other green part of our green grilled cheese. So we've got our green pesto that's got basil and pine nuts, olive oil, garlic, peas. If you do stay away from cheeses and things like that, you could definitely use a non-dairy cheese in this. And Trader Joe's has a really good vegan pesto too. If you want to try that out.
Good to know.
Has kale, cashews in it. So I'm doing about a tablespoon of olive oil because that's what I have at home today. But you could use a different vegetable oil. You can measure that out, or if you're pouring it into a pan, about a poker chip size amount of olive oil is about a tablespoon. So I usually just eyeball it. And I'm spreading the oil around before.
Leah, I've got to admit, I'm sorry. I've got to admit, it may be a guy thing, but that's probably the fun part of cooking a grilled cheese sandwich to a guy. Rolling the oil around, we love it.
The other thing we wanted to mention is that you could use butter instead of oil. But we're using the oil to cook the spinach, and then we're just going to put it back in the pan with the oil that's left over. So I'm adding some spinach in there. If I use butter for my grilled cheese, I'll actually just put it on either side, and then when I flip the sandwich, then you'll have butter on either side. Could be a really delicious way to make a grilled cheese too. Got our spinach cooking in here. Didn't take too long.
So if someone was using like tomato or mushroom, would you just add those raw to the sandwich, or would you cook those just like you're doing the spinach?
So with the tomato, I would just add it raw. With the mushroom, I'd probably cook it down a little bit. And you could even potentially put the spinach in here raw, but I feel like the benefit of cooking it ahead of time is that you can actually add even more. It'll cook down so much. And then, with the mushrooms, it might be a personal preference too if you like the taste of the raw mushrooms, because they're probably not going to cook a whole lot when you're cooking the sandwich. So it just depends on your choice. I would even do like a whole portobello mushroom cap. Do it. Saute that, put it in there. That could be really good.
That does sound good.
I've done grilled cheese. I used to work at a restaurant, and I'd have grilled cheese at the restaurant for lunch sometimes, but I've had them add spinach, grilled cheese, and tomato. You can put all of them in there, get real crazy.
This is very interesting to me. I'm one of those individuals. I don't know. I may have mentioned it to Amber previously, but I'm a very plain Jane. I've got a very simple palate. The simpler, the better. Just adding something like this is, yeah. I feel like I'm cheating myself, but yeah, it's giving me some great ideas moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a way to kind of dress up your grilled cheese a little bit. And even just adding that little bit of vegetable isn't going to change the flavor. It'll still have all that cheesy deliciousness to it, but you're adding some nutrient density and even some extra fiber that'll be some more filling too.
True.
So now our pan that was full of spinach is just that much.
I feel like you're living the meme.
So we're going to take that out. Really add it to one of the slices of bread over here. Still got our pan well oiled from moving all the spinach around. Then we'll take other slice, put it on top, and add our grilled cheese to the pan. Sorry, I'm a hands-on cook over here. And I didn't mention either, the type of cheese that I used in here was slices of provolone. That's a personal choice that I like. But you could use any type of sliced cheese, or even because you can save money by buying block cheese, you can use block cheese too and just slice off pieces and do like a few on one side and a few on the other. Which, with whatever cheese you prefer, you do a couple different cheeses. I did one the other day with provolone and some cheddar. Very good. And tomato.
Leah, you're the chef for today, so we're going to go with your suggestion.
So if someone doesn't have bread on hand, it sounds like a tortilla could work just as well. But are there other breads or grains that could work if we're out of bread?
So I feel like you could do definitely a tortilla would work. Like a naan, like other types of breads. Trying to think of, you definitely have another grain and sort of cook spinach and melt cheese on top too. But any of those are possibilities.
Yeah.
This will take about 2 minutes on each side, and then our grilled cheese will be ready to go. Trying to think of other grains that could work. You could use a bagel.
Oh,
You could use
that's a
like
good
an
idea.
So it doesn't have to specifically be like sandwich bread. It could be any function of bread that would probably work out. A croissant might be really delicious. I've been wanting one myself, so that might be where that came from.
Well, we were talking about being creative and thinking outside the box during COVID-19, so here's another example.
Right.
Yeah.
I do like that bagel idea, though. Like, I'm starting to get hungry
Yes.
for that.
Again, I come with me.
Got a nice bagel sandwich. That's another one of our Tuesday taste recipes is the busy day breakfast bagel. It doesn't have to be a busy day. It could just be, I don't want to use a pan kind of morning. And you can cook your eggs. I think that recipe has some eggs and tomato, grated cheese and spinach in there, and then put it on your bagel, and there you go. That you could do with bread or toast or other things too.
That sounds like a
Right.
really good breakfast for dinner.
Yes.
Got a nice one brown side, and our cheese is melting nicely over here. This is going to be my lunch, so I'm excited.
I was thinking that to myself a moment ago. One request I had is that you're gonna have to taste it. So I want to see the look of joy in your face and a happy dance, perhaps.
Exactly. We need to see the happiness.
Definitely, the cheesiness will definitely bring me joy. I know that. And the other thing about all these recipes that I was thinking about is there was really only a couple things that I didn't have at home already. We usually do have some type of pesto, but we had to run out and grab that when we grabbed a bunch of other things too. And then that was really the one thing that we didn't already have. I did get chocolate because I wanted to add those to the no bake cookies. That was a add that to the list.
No one is blaming you there.
No.
Got another golden side. Got some melty cheese in there.
Ooh.
Good. All finished. Turn that off. Our finished grilled cheese product. I'll take a bite for you too.
Great job. You deserve
It's very good.
it. I believe you.
That's an endorsement right there.
Well, the other thing we can check back on too in my is and see how our cookies are doing in the freezer. Might be able to try one of those too. They're all set. Probably turn back quickly, but this is they're holding together more nicely than they were before I stuck them in there. And
Yes, I was going to say you have to. So,
highly recommend. So those are the 3 recipes that we had planned to walk through today. Did you have any other questions or thoughts to share?
I do not specifically. I just know that I am forever grateful. It was insightful for me personally. I hope that it is insightful for the students in the College of Computing at Georgia Tech at large, whoever may see this, whoever it may help. And just know that I appreciate it on behalf of our college. And thank you for taking the time away from your respective families. And I don't know about you, but I've got homework to do, with my kids today. So again, just thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was fun. We'll have to try it again sometime.
Yes, I'm
Troy
gonna
is
hold
always
you to that.
with you. All right.
Well, all right. Well, if there are no more questions or comments, again, just thank you and look forward to working with you all again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye bye.
Right. Bye.